Hi, my name is Sissy, and I want to welcome you to my show, Getting Healthy with Sis. I am married to my hunky husband, Matt, and together we own a fitness and nutrition coaching studio in Lakeland, Florida called Restoration Fitness and Nutrition. We have 2 little boys, and I've been a nutrition coach for 5 years, helping countless people to revamp their lives and see amazing results implementing one healthy habit at a time. My passion is to help women just like me realize they don't have to be a victim to poor eating habits and poor health. Instead, through proper education and empowerment, they can take control of their health and live the healthiest and happiest life possible. As you tune into my show, I promise you're going to learn new things about your health. You're going to be inspired to take action towards your goals, and you're going to have a ton of fun along the way. All right. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in today. We are here at episode 9 of the Getting Healthy with Sis show, and I have a friend and mentor of mine here. Her name is Melinda North, and she is here today. She's going to be talking with us all about how diet culture has failed us, and she's going to be giving us some really amazing tools in how to adjust our mindset for long-term success. So before we go in, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I know Melinda and a little bit about her, and then I'm going to give the floor to her and let her kind of begin introducing herself. So at Restoration, we are partnered up with a really cool mentoring company called HSN, or Healthy Steps Nutrition. And Melinda is also partnered with that company, and she is one of the mentors that helps us at Restoration be amazing coaches. So I've had the opportunity to meet with her and do different coaching activities with her through the years, and she is awesome. I've learned a lot from her on how to be a better coach, and so it's my honor to get to have her on today. So before we dive in, I'm just going to give you a little bit more about her. So she is the lead nutrition and mindset coach at Portside Fitness in Gulfport, Mississippi. She has many certifications. She's CrossFit level 2 certified. She's got her precision nutrition certification, as far as being a nutrition coach, and many other things. Some of those might come up in the show today as she's kind of hitting on different areas where she enjoys helping people. But she's been a nutrition coach for the past 10 years, and she did a little math for us, and estimates she's been able to help around 300 clients in a personal one-on-one nutrition coaching way. So that one-on-one accountability and support. So she definitely has lots of experience with working with people one-on-one. So without further ado, I'm going to just kind of probe her with some questions so you can get to know her more. So anyways, welcome, Melinda. Thanks for being here with us today.
Yeah.
So great
Thanks
to
for
have.
having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So before we start, I just want to hear a little bit about your story and how you became a nutrition coach.
So, just my overall health and wellness story, it kind of dates back to whenever I was a teenager and really just comparing myself to my peers, as we all tend to do. And just as I was participating in sports like soccer and cross country and things like that, I felt so tired all of the time. And my peers, it just didn't seem to have the same exhaustion that I had. And I couldn't put the pieces together at the time as to why, like, I was so exhausted and run down and they weren't, or didn't appear to be. And I just chalked it up to, like, well, maybe that's just me. Maybe, I just need more training, or, I'm just not really as advanced as they are, or things like that. And so as I got older, I just kept getting more and more curious about these types of things, and uh, really started understanding a lot more about myself, including that a lot of the things that I was feeling were related to anxiety. And so I was like, okay, I've got to find a way to manage this anxiety. And I just was thinking about, well, when have I felt my best? And anytime that I was outside doing something physical, yard work or riding bikes or things like that, I tend to feel my absolute best. So I was like, okay, what's the common denominator? Yes, being outside, but also moving my body. So I was like, okay, let me start going to the gym. I'd love to have some improvements in the way that I look, and with my anxiety. And so I started working out, and I loved it instantly. I'm one of those people who enjoy working out, but there still just wasn't something right. So at this point, I was living on my own, taking control of my own nutrition, grocery shopping, and things like that. And I was like, okay, I need to start making some better choices here. Slowly started making some choices. And at that time, better choices for me was like spaghetti cooked at home,
Okay. Home cooked
um,
meals.
home cooked meals, and just like versus McDonald's
Sure.
or, pick up or drive through or just
Sure.
dining out in general. So, not
Sure.
saying that there's anything wrong with like spaghetti. That was just my favorite at the
Right.
time.
Right.
And so started getting into that and started immediately seeing improvements in just my workouts and how I felt overall. And I was like, okay, there's something to this.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward, I would say probably 5 years later, I'm looking for a new gym, found Portside Fitness and signed up there. They immediately did like a nutrition challenge. And I was like, yes, this is cool. I'm learning so much information, and once again started seeing improvements. And then I was like, okay, nutrition is the missing piece here. I had no idea that that was such a big piece of the puzzle, but I saw even bigger changes with anxiety, stress, mindset. Started seeing bigger changes within my workouts, the way that I felt physically, my sleep, the way that I looked, all of it. And I was just so excited about this and to like learn about it that I just started talking to people about it naturally.
Right.
And then the owner of the gym basically was like, hey, I'm signing up for this program. I know that this is important because you're always talking about it. So you're going to be our nutrition coach. And at that time, I was already coaching classes, and I was like, whoa, okay. So we went through the training with HSN mentoring, and honestly, the rest is history. It's been a real fun journey, and a lot of it I didn't necessarily have the support to have someone guide me there. I kind of learned a lot of this stuff on my own until getting the formal training with HSN mentoring.
That's awesome. That's super cool. So I'm curious today if you could tell us a little bit about what does your daily, weekly, monthly routine look like as far as your health? What are some of the things that you've discovered? Like, I have to do this. I feel my best when I do this. I do not feel good when I don't do this. Kind of give us the behind the scenes of what Melinda is doing to feel her best, to feel energized, to push anxiety down, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, so there's some staples that come to mind. And I do want to preface this with saying, like, every person responds to things differently. So you kind of have to play around with things to figure out what works for you. But for me, what works is making sure that I'm getting a minimum of 8 hours of sleep. That is first and foremost top priority. I'm 100% a completely different person, stress wise, anxiety wise, workout wise,
Yes.
um, performance wise, meaning like with my job,
Yeah.
and also with my food choices. I'm a completely different person if I'm not
Mhm.
getting 8 hours of sleep. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing that I prioritize. Second thing would just be movement. Um, as I continue in this role, I'm always learning more and more about myself and just the industry in general. And it's very important for me to make sure that I'm getting a workout in, but also getting movement in throughout the day. A lot of the times in the past, I've like, oh, I've worked out 5 days this week. I don't need any extra movement. And that's not true, especially for me. I
Mm-hmm.
need the extra movement. It helps regulate my mood, helps me prevent from like having any energy crashes, and make sure that I'm at my best when I'm basically wanting to either be present with friends and family, meet with clients, coach a class, things like that.
Yeah.
So, super important for me. And then hydration. unreal the difference in the person
Yes.
that I am if I'm not well hydrated.
Right, right.
Uh, there is so much mental fog and low energy. It's not even funny. So I definitely make sure I'm prioritizing my hydration. As far as meals, I am not super specific with any particular style that I follow other than making sure that I'm prioritizing whole foods, making sure that I'm trying to get a balance throughout the day, and limiting as much as I possibly can ultra processed foods, added sugar, and alcohol.
Mhm.
So I kind of focus on those in that
Right.
priority. Does that mean I never have like treats? No, I probably had 8 dark chocolate chips before getting on this call. Just being honest.
Right, right, right.
And it was just whatever I grabbed out of the bag, right? It didn't
Yeah,
count them out.
right,
But generally, I find recipes, I try recipes that fit those things. Are they whole foods? Are they
right,
balanced? And if
right.
I like them, I'll put them in my meal plan routine. If I don't like them, I'll ditch them.
Right.
And making sure that I'm fueled and in the right amounts with whole quality foods, that is the key factor in addition to the movement for anxiety for me.
Yes.
When I eat poorly, I feel it instantly, and a whole host of things start to happen. That comparison from high school starts to come back. My mindset around the way that I look comes back. And I start questioning, like, am I even a good coach? Am I actually helping these people? Should I be in a different profession? I mean, it can get a little,
Sure. Yeah, for real.
wacky,
Yep, yep,
right?
right.
So,
Yeah.
making sure I'm prioritizing those things as well as finding the balance to make sure I'm having intentional time with friends and family, mostly family. I'm so very lucky that I have a grandfather on my mother's side and a grandmother on my father's side still alive. And it is my intention to see or interact or be with one or both of them every single week. And I don't want to be with them, stressed, anxious, not feeling my best, exhausted, right? So, being with them fills my cup, and I know like that's only a limited amount of time. So I prioritize, spending time with them, and that really just makes my heart full, fills my cup. So it's important to make sure, at least for me, that I'm spending that time doing the things that fill my cup. I love reading. That's my other extracurricular activity. And the one thing that really sets me up for success for the week that I have found personally is like just part of what I do. And I have to do it, or else I, once again, start to kind of spiral. Bad food choices, uh, mindset kind of starts going in the opposite direction that I want it to, is actually planning my food every single week and prepping. So I have everything for the whole week
Yeah.
prepped every single week so I can walk to the fridge when I'm tired and pull out what I have ready, heat it up, and eat it and feel good about myself. So those are the main things that I work on for
Yeah.
my personal health and wellness.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely can agree with you. I find myself in a lot of those things that you shared as well, and being a mom of 2 and almost 3, and we've got a new puppy. I mean, I'm telling you, my success and fail, I mean, it falls on my sleep. Like, if I am not getting good sleep, I am not, like, I am impatient with my kids, I'm snapping at them. I don't wanna work out because 'cause I'm tired.
Yep.
Wanna be lazy, and then I'm, like, looking for quick energy so that sweet thing looks more appetizing. I mean, it's so important, but it's so cool that you've been able to kind of tune in and realize, like, these are things that set me up for success, therefore I wanna be the best version of me, so I'm gonna prioritize, and which is what you and I do and help we that's our heart in helping other people discover these things as well. Like, what are the things that you've got to check those boxes, and life is going to be a lot better when you discipline yourself to be able to focus on those things and get them done. So thanks for sharing that with us. So we're gonna dive in just a quick second, but I want to hear really quick, what is your ideal client like? Like, who are you helping? Like, is there a profile of your ideal client, or the clients you're helping the most right now?
Yeah, so I would say pretty consistently over the last 10 years of nutrition coaching. I probably the age gap has gone up just a little bit, but around 35 plus women.
Okay.
It's the majority of the people that I work with. I would say when I first started, probably closer to 30 plus.
Okay.
But 35 plus is really kind of the target. If I had to really niche it down, it would be 35 to probably 60.
Okay.
These are women who have been through every single diet that you can possibly think of underneath the sun.
Mhm.
And they've gained weight, they've lost weight, they feel good about their body, but maybe they don't necessarily like the way that it looks. And those are the number one things that they're coming to me with is lack of confidence
Yeah.
and really wanting to have more sustainability. And what I mean by that is, as they're aging, they want to be able to keep up with their kids or grandkids or have the lifestyle that they want to lead. I had one. I've had plenty, but I've had one in particular that I'm thinking of who is like, I'm retired. I want to travel
Mhm.
and I need to be able to have the strength to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
strength and confidence are the main things that they're looking for help with.
Yes, for sure. And with that demographic of women, that 35 age plus, what do you feel like you most enjoy helping them with, or that's you're most passionate about seeing them, like the light bulb click on pertaining to?
Oh, that's a really tough question because I love honestly just guiding them, but keeping them in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
My favorite part would be when they feel confident and empowered enough to continue on their own and also be happy and excited with where they are and where they're going.
Hmm. That's awesome. And that's one of the things that I feel like you have taught me a lot about in coaching is, let's get the client in the driver's seat. We want to empower the client to make these decisions and to feel confident in making them, and not ultimately not need us forever. So
Absolutely.
I love that you bring to your clients. You've definitely helped me with that as a coach. So well, without further ado, I'd love to just jump into our topic after we've gotten to know you a little bit. Thank you for sharing more about yourself. So, today we're going to dive into diet culture, okay, and the mindset that has failed us. And since you coach mostly women, you're going to be able to speak into how this impacts women. Most of my clients are women. I've got some men throughout there, but let's just go ahead and dive in. So, how would you define diet culture?
Yeah. So, diet culture, in my opinion, is basically a compilation of expectations around food and weight, whether it's learned from friends, family, social media, or a combination of all three. It also basically has a focus on what being thin looks like or what we should look like, food restriction, and really control around food and weight. So, almost like an overemphasis around those things, which would be weight, food restriction, thinness, and then actually the control of food.
So, with diet culture, you're saying it's the like overly fixing on what being thin looks like, what weight you should be, the pressures that culture has put on us. So, how have you seen that work out in the lives of your clients, like the general population of women that you're coaching? How are you seeing this work out for them? This fixation with being a certain size or whatnot?
So first things first, this is like one of my absolute favorite parts of coaching, is kind of diving into the mindset piece around um, clients and what they're struggling with and helping them overcome it. So the hardest one to overcome is all of the pressure that society has put on us, which is around the way we should look. And the way that this is presenting in my clients is nothing they do is good enough.
Mhm.
They've never lost enough weight. They've never been happy with the way that their body looks, or at least it's what they're telling me from based off of what they can remember. They start and stop a multitude of different diets because once again, nothing is good enough. They've never reached results that they're happy and satisfied with. And sometimes they try things that are super restrictive, doesn't align with their lifestyle. They're not able to keep up with it. They feel like a failure. So they just stop. So they lose weight, gain weight, lose a little bit of weight, gain a ton more weight. There's so many different cycles that they're going through around this. And I truly believe it is not because of the reality of the situation. It is truly because of what they're being exposed to or what they've been exposed to around what they should look like and how much weight they should be losing.
Are you a busy mama who wants to be healthy while also feeding your family healthy and balanced meals, but you find that every week you have no time for planning and cooking? Well, as a busy mama myself, I feel you and I know exactly where you are. And that's why I have created a special recipe guide just for you. It's my Instant Pot Chicken recipe guide, and in this guide, I'm going to show you how to make one big batch of chicken from your Instant Pot, and then with that chicken, you can make 3 delicious and healthy meals that your family can eat on all week long. That's right, there'll be enough for you to have meal prepped lunches and dinners for you and the whole family. To get this free guide today, go to gettinghealthywithsis.restorationfitnesslkld.com. I'll say it again. That's gettinghealthywithsis.restorationfitnesslkld.com.
So this whole gaining weight, losing weight, I know I have seen that the cyclical thing. It's never good enough. Even when we lose 10 pounds or we've made progress, it's never good enough. So tell me how are you helping your clients with this? And what are you finding is the breakthrough point? Like how are you helping people and women in particular, like get this mindset thing shifted around? What are you finding is most helpful there?
The first thing is to ditch the scale.
Okay, talk to us about that.
We talk a lot. So let me just kind of back up a little bit. When they come in and they're meeting with me, they're telling me things like they want to increase confidence, they want longevity, they want to be independent for as long as they can. But in reality, what they're not telling me is I feel like I would, be so much happier as a person if I lose 30 pounds.
Mhm.
And so I have to dig out of them what they actually want for themselves because they're telling themselves or they're verbalizing that they want one thing, but in reality there's something back there that they are not willing to voice and put out there. I mean, it's a vulnerable topic in my opinion. And so I have to find a way to get out of them what they actually want for themselves. And in most cases, it's weight loss. So I do that through strategic questioning. It's different based off of, who's sitting in front of me and the conversation and the rapport that we have built together so far. And so once I understand that the weight loss is extremely important to them, we
Mhm.
talk a little bit about that and what weight, like the realities around weight loss are, right? So we can lose 10 pounds of fat and gain 10 pounds of muscle and not lose any weight at all.
Mhm.
So we talk a little bit about that. And I ask them, what are your patterns around weighing yourself?
Okay.
and they'll describe that to me. Either it's daily, weekly, monthly, or never.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're consistently weighing themselves, I ask them to not do that throughout the course of the time that we're working together, that we will measure progress in a multitude of ways. And one of those will be putting them on the InBody, which tells them total body water, how much fat in percentages and in pounds, how much muscle they have in pounds, and basically a bigger picture of what's actually going on, a better view of that. We also talk about measurements, progress photos, making sure that we're using our habits as a way to celebrate a win each day. And so we're, discussing different ways that motivate them and what they can focus on throughout their journey to keep them going. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. So were you about to keep going?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So you talk about how you're going to measure progress through a different like several different avenues. Talk to us a little bit about how you have found helping your clients focus on the daily wins as a means to helping them remove that fixation with the scale. How are you seeing that help women with their mindsets?
So the best way I can describe this to you is, have you ever been in a situation where you've wanted to go buy a new car?
Mm-hmm.
And you go and you look at this car, maybe you do research and you talk to your friends about it. If they have one, maybe you look at Consumer Reports or some other place, and then, you go out to run errands and all of a sudden that car is everywhere.
Right.
The reality is there's not more of those cars on the road.
Right. Yeah.
We have developed, yeah, we've developed what's called a frequency bias towards it.
Mhm.
So our brain has been trained to look for this car.
Mhm.
And so we're going to see this car more often because we're subconsciously paying attention for it. And
Right.
so the same concept kind of happens whenever you celebrate wins, right? If you are celebrating your habit as a win, your routines as a win, your workout as a win, maybe you even do gratitude daily. That's one of the other ways that I help people kind of get around their mindset is daily gratitude, whether it be first thing in the morning or at night. But the more we're looking for the wins, the more we're going to see the wins,
That's right. Yeah.
right? And vice versa.
Yeah.
The more we're looking for issues with our body and issues with our food and issues with our mood, the more we're going to see and feel and notice all of these issues and concerns. So if we can shift that mindset away from looking for everything that is going wrong
Mhm.
to looking for everything that is going right, that is where the first mindset shift starts to happen.
Right. Right. Now, do you have any clients that come to your mind off the top of your head that you're like, oh man, I saw so much progress with this person in this area. And like, this is like an example of kind of what the transformation was with them as far as
Yeah,
moving away from diet culture into a more like, hey, I'm going towards the direction of health. And so I'm going to celebrate that versus getting annoyed with myself and wanting to quit every other day.
I actually have two people in mind, but I'm going to tell you one because she like really kind of encompasses a lot of things. I
Mhm.
will preface this. She did not meet her body composition goals.
Okay. And okay, let's unpack that for a second because we all know this is a big thing. So,
Yep.
what were her goals to start with?
She wanted to lose at least 20 to 25 pounds of fat.
Okay. Okay.
And once again, feel better, have more confidence. She said she didn't feel like herself anymore.
Okay.
And I have known this person for a long time. And so I was excited to work with her and, help her on this journey. And
Okay.
um, looking at her, you would never think that there was a lack of confidence, but we started uncovering a lot of things.
Okay.
And we did discover quite a few areas that she was struggling with. And the first exercise that we did was, she came to me one day and she was like, I was walking past we go shopping and they have the windows, right? She was walking past this window of this store and she looked over and she was like, oh my God, I look disgusting and I'm so fat and this and that. And I was like, okay, well, let's pause and pump the brakes here. Like, are those things true? And she was like, well, I don't know. And I said, okay, that's a great answer, like an honest one, exactly what I need. I said, well, first things first, what I notice whenever we look through those mirrors is we are actually bigger than what we actually are because that's the way that the glass reflects back. So
Mm,
that's the first thing to take in consideration. She's like, yeah, okay, that's true. And I said, well, what other things were going on that day that you can kind of point out that kind of led you to this negative self-talk
mhm,
and to feeling that way about yourself? And she
mhm,
was like, well, I was out with my family. I was with my husband. He said I looked super cute that day. Started my period. We were out shopping, didn't really sleep well. And I was like, okay, well, you just said two things that really stood out to me.
mhm,
First, you started your cycle. And second, you didn't really sleep well. So have
mhm,
you noticed any patterns around how you feel about yourself and
mhm,
your cycle or your sleep? And she
mhm,
was like, no, not really. And I said, well, let's do a little experiment. For the next month, you're going to take this calendar, this blank month, and anytime that you feel great and cute, I want you to put a smiley face. And anytime you're kind of like, whatever, I don't feel ugly, but I don't feel cute, you can just do like a straight line face. And
mhm,
then anytime you feel like garbage around yourself, you're going to do a frowny face.
right.
And she came back the next month with her little calendar and she was so excited. And she was like, every time I'm ovulating or in my menstrual cycle is when I have a sad face. And I was like, wow, that's a really great thing for you to understand. I said, do you feel that this exercise has served you or do you want to continue on? And she was like, I want to do it for another month just to make sure like that's what it is. And I'm like, okay. So she's doing it for the month. And with the program that we do, we check in with them each week, right? So in the interim, I'm checking in with her. And she was like, I think we're at week 3. And the next week we're meeting in person. She said, I really want to talk to you in person about like social media. I'm like, okay, that's kind of random, but okay, great. I can't wait to talk to you about it. So
Mm,
she comes in, she has her calendar again and there's extra things on there. And I was like, what is going on here? This is confusing. She said, well, my husband joined in on it. And every day that he thought that I looked beautiful or cute, he put a smiley face. Well, what do
aw,
you think? Every single day there was a smiley face.
mm,
So she was like, that was awesome. That helped me a lot. And she said, through this process, I also realized the things that I'm seeing on social media are a trigger for me. When
mm,
I'm seeing, she named off specific people and specific things. She was like, when I'm getting exposed to these things, I feel so bad about myself. I was like,
mm,
okay. I said, it sounds like you have identified our next, action step of limiting your social media. She was like, I really want to do it. I said, do you
mm,
want to continue with the tracking and the calendar? She said, yes, I really like it. So now
mhm,
we're doing the calendar and we're setting limits on social media. Came back the next month and she was like, Melinda, I think we're good. I don't need to do nutrition coaching anymore because the problem is not with me. The problem is with my cycle, which I'm aware of now,
huh?
and my exposure to social media, which I'm
Wow.
no longer going to be doing.
Wow.
And so
Wow. That's so
she
cool.
honestly, yeah, she learned so much about herself. And I mean, this was months and months that we had been working together. So I think we're probably at the 8th month, or actually she finished the year with me. So we did a full year of coaching and she was like, I'm good. And she has done really well ever since, all on her own, which is fantastic because this has probably been like a couple of years at least since we've worked together.
That's so powerful. So, kind of what I hear you saying is we've got to kind of let ourselves get free in our minds of that. And sometimes it takes digging a little bit more and being more intentional. I'm like, man, I should probably do that. And guess what? There's probably going to be a lot tied to like, how did I sleep the night before? Like, because I am like not in as good of a mood when I don't sleep, it's just,
100%.
and so how freeing and empowering to begin to gain some tools like that to be able to dig a little bit deeper with your feelings and your thoughts and beliefs about yourself. So that is so, so cool. So as far as when you're helping your clients celebrate bright spots, I know one of the things that you and I have talked about together is the book, The Gap and the Gain. That has been a huge mindset shift of a book. I'm actually going to do a podcast episode on it because I feel like I learned so much from that book. But in that book, it talks all about how we have these ideals out in front of us and we're just chasing after the ideals. And the ideals could represent a lot of like what diet culture represents. Like, I want to be at this weight. I want to be at this size. I want to feel like I did in college, all of these things. And we're just chasing, chasing, chasing. And we make some steps forward, but it seems like the goal just keeps moving further from us. So in the book, The Gap and the Gain, it really talks about actually looking backwards and measuring our success from where we started from to where we are now, not where we are now and where we are not, and or not yet. And so how do you feel like you've been able to help your clients shift in that mindset to really like truly be happy and content with the positive things that they're doing and like accept those as wins? Does anything come to your mind with that?
So first thing is making sure that I am bringing up the wins, because what I've noticed, I'm sure you've noticed when working with clients as well, like in the beginning, they have like all of these wins and these wins are
Right.
very impactful for them. But
Right.
then we're at like 6 months, 9 months, a year down the road, and there's a thing called a hedonic adaptation. Right.
Okay.
And so basically, when we do something, receive something, gain something, we're super excited about it in the
Mhm.
beginning. And then
Yep.
eventually it's just another thing in our lives. Like
Right.
think about your last water bottle. You were so excited about that water bottle and it was like awesome and your hydration was on point. It was great and it's
Right.
cute and it's just awesome. And then 6 months down the road, it's like, just a water bottle, right?
Yeah.
Same
Right.
thing happens with our results. So I make sure that I keep a list of all of their bright spots so I can continue to talk to them about those bright spots and have them reflect.
Mhm.
This is how you were feeling whenever you first started versus, um, you know, bright spots that you've actually given me over the course of time.
Mhm.
Would you say that you're still feeling these benefits?
Mhm.
Absolutely. How are these benefits impacting your life in a positive way?
Mhm. Right.
Right? Because it's so easy for us to not think about our progress, not think about, um, you know, where we've come from, to not even think about what we want for ourselves anymore, which is why you and I, we both know how important it is to ask people why they want what they're telling you that they want.
Mhm.
We spend so little time reflecting and being in tune with ourselves. It is our job as coaches to make sure that we are forcing our clients to do it, even if it's a little uncomfortable because they're not used to it.
Right.
And so, in the beginning, you have to do a lot of hand holding and do that reflection with them and sometimes for them based off of what you see. But the more that you do it and it becomes part of the process, the more they start to do it naturally.
Mhm.
And there will be times where, we have really good times and times where we don't feel so great about what we're doing. And that's why having a coach is so important, is because you have that person who's providing you support and accountability through all the highs and lows of your journey, because there is 100% guarantee that you will have highs and lows in your journey.
Right.
100% guarantee that there are points where you're not going to want to take action, just like how you mentioned earlier. I don't want to go work out.
Mm.
Well, when you're in a routine, even though you don't want to go, you still do it,
Right.
right? And so your coach is there to make sure that you're revisiting those wins and keeping that mindset that's going to move you forward. I mean, think about it. How many times has anyone met a goal thinking, oh, what I'm doing isn't good enough?
Right.
They didn't. They quit. They gave up on their goal.
Right.
Right. And it's super important to make sure that you're constantly looking for uh, those positives, because you're going to go through birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, uh, personal relationship issues, professional relationship issues, family relationship issues, all different scales of stress and, um, situations where it's not like the perfect situation for you to be able to reach your goal in the way that you want.
Sure.
And
Yep.
so, having that coach to help you remember all the awesome things that you've done. And like this one small thing, it's just a blip in the road. Like, we're going to just go over it and keep moving forward is essential.
Right. So if for those of us who are tuned in and are listening, and maybe there's someone listening today that's like, man, that activity that she said about getting a calendar out and doing a little smiley face or a frowny face or a, straight face, whatever it is, that really spoke to me. What other, and maybe someone's like, I'm going to do that for myself. And if you heard that and that makes sense to you, I encourage you, go on Google, search, July 2024 and print out a calendar and do that. What other things, Melinda, do you feel like are great action steps to take for someone to ditch or continue to or begin to ditch diet culture and focus on viewing progress in a more healthy and sustainable way?
Yeah, so there's a few activities I like to do with clients. One of the beginning ones is basically using a feelings wheel. And the reason this is important is because if we don't understand how we feel, how do we know that we need to take the time to understand where that feeling came from?
Mhm.
Right. So a lot of us are just like, oh, I'm just so angry in it, and I'm mad because this person did that. When in reality, a lot of the time, that anger is actually internal.
Right.
It's not external or some other feeling, right? And so we go through the feelings wheel, and it's a wheel that has like the basic emotions that people typically describe, which is like happy or sad or angry. Those are the main ones I typically hear, or scared.
Mhm.
And then it expands out to some more specific feelings, and then once again expands out an additional time,
Right.
um, to get very specific on what the feeling is. And once you know what that feeling is, it loses a little bit of its power because you're starting to gain an understanding about what's going on with you, right? I'm angry versus, you know what? I feel annoyed.
Mhm.
Big difference in that.
Mhm.
Or to be even like, if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty, you really don't even want to say, I feel annoyed. You want to say, I have feelings of being annoyed. Because what that does is it detaches the feeling from you,
Mhm. Right.
right? And so we name that feeling, and then we try and figure out the source. Okay, we're annoyed. Where did that annoyance come from? And maybe the first place you stop is like, this person, right? But why does that actually bother you? The example I always give with my clients is kind of a silly one, but you're super annoyed because yet again, your husband did not take out the trash.
Right.
That makes me so mad, right? Well, let's take a step back. Maybe your husband got an emergency phone call and had to pick your kid up from school, or had to get to work,
Right.
or maybe there was a neighbor who knocked at the door and distracted him, and then he grabbed his keys and ran out the door like he normally does. So
Right.
there could be a million different reasons as why something didn't happen, but why does that annoy you? The most common response that I get from people is because when my husband is not doing the tasks that I ask, I don't feel that I'm respected.
Right.
I don't feel that I'm heard.
Mhm.
I don't feel loved.
Right.
And that has so much more power because then you can go to your husband and say, you know what? The story I have just told myself about you not taking the trash out is that I am not loved, heard, or respected by you. And
Right.
he's going to look at you and say, you're absolutely silly. This
Right.
is what happened. I apologize. And let's talk about a way that we can make sure that this happens next time.
Right.
Right. So it gives you the power to release a little bit of that anger, gives you the opportunity to insert some empathy, right? Especially if it's related to another person, and then gives you a clear path of communicating. And I stole this from Brene Brown. So it's like the story I'm telling myself is. So that way they understand that you're not coming at them with an attack,
Right.
right? So I could say, you just don't love me and you don't care about me and you don't listen to a single thing that I say because you didn't take the trash out.
Right.
Versus, this is the story I'm telling myself about what happened
Yeah.
and giving them the opportunity to respond.
Owning your own feelings.
Absolutely. Nobody can make you feel any way. You definitely have that feeling within yourself. And it's time to take ownership over it. Quit,
Right.
being the victim and figure out what it is, communicate it if you need to, and move forward. And that's really one of the best ways. And related to health and wellness journey specifically, why do you feel what you're doing is not enough? Why do you feel 30 pounds of pure fat loss is not enough?
Right.
Right? So digging into those feelings a bit more, and you'd be surprised at the reasons that come up around that.
That's good. So maybe
Another one.
go
Yep, sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Well,
Another activity. No, sorry, go ahead.
I'm thinking, I'm going to interject real quick. If you're listening to this, you're like, wow, I have lost 20 pounds. Why is that not good enough? I want you to ask yourself that when this episode is over and you get done listening, ask yourself, why is that not good enough? And see what you come up with. And then maybe ask yourself again, well, why? Until you get down, keep asking why until you get down to that real honest answer. And if you've got a coach in your life, if you're with restoration or you want to be with restoration, let us process that with you. We would love to talk with you about what you're discovering. So back to you, Melinda, as you're kind of giving us the last little tips on how we work on our mindset, celebrating those wins, those sorts of things.
Yeah, so there's a couple other activities real quick that I like to do. And these all honestly came from the mental fit and mindset course that I took with HSN mentoring. And
Right.
that's actually free not free. It's not free. It's anyone who, even if you're not an HSN mentoring client and you want to take this course, it is available for you to take. And you would just head over to growyournutritionbusiness.com and look for that mental fit course. It
Sure.
also offers CrossFit CEU, so that's a good benefit to it.
That's
But
awesome.
a couple other activities, setting your stage. I'm just going to briefly go over these, and then I'm going to give like one piece of advice, and I'll be done talking your head off.
Yay. I love it.
Setting your stage is a great activity, and basically what you do is you put yourself on a stage, and you think like, if I'm on this stage, do we want the people in the first row who are not going to clap and cheer and be our biggest fan? My answer to that is no. You want those people in the first row. So taking some time to think about who you want in your first row, your
Mhm.
second row, your third row, and then the parking lot,
Yeah.
right? So analyzing those people and then making informed decisions around that analysis. I'm not saying that everyone needs to be out in the parking lot because they're not supporting you the
Yeah.
way that you want them to support you, but you want them in the parking lot because they are bringing you down,
Right.
right? But
Right.
that doesn't mean that they're out of your life completely, because maybe this is a husband, maybe it's a mother, maybe it's a best friend or whomever, right? Coworker.
Sure.
You just make an informed decision about how you want to proceed with having that person in your life and how often and in what ways. So
And
really kind of
finding
setting some.
people that are like, wow, I want them in my front row because they're always
Absolutely.
finding the positive. They're cheering me on. They're pushing me to be the healthiest version of myself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, that sort of thing. Getting intentional.
100%.
Good.
Absolutely. And then the next one would be kind of dragging anchors. So it's identifying what anchors you're dragging and then figuring out how to take the first step towards cutting them loose. So anchors would be, in most cases, a person, but sometimes maybe it's an idea of something, or
Okay.
it could be a childhood trauma or things like that. Now, if it's bigger things, like something big that happened to you, I definitely don't recommend doing this activity on your own. I do recommend seeking a mental health professional who can walk you through this. But if
Right.
it's things like, you know, every time you put an outfit on and walk into work, you know, this one particular person has something critical to say,
Right.
right? Well, that would be an anchor that you would drag. And how could you let that loose? You can't just quit your job. So figuring out for you and you're in that situation or whatever situation you're in, how you can let that anchor go. It
Beautiful.
doesn't mean perfectly excusing someone, you know, like completely if you can't, but it's figuring out for you what's going to work to just let it go. And that's
And
it's an awesome activity for people to be able to do and reflect on.
right. And I think about even social media, like social media might be an anchor.
100%.
Does this thing trigger me? Do I feel
Just like it
really,
was for my past client.
yeah,
Absolutely.
do I feel really insecure? Okay, maybe I need to limit my time. One of my good friends, she told me the other day, she said, me and my husband, we both put secret passwords on our phones. He knows mine, I know his, and we get 30 minutes a day on social media. And when our timer's up, we don't know how to change the password. So we're done. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like that's having an accountability partner in your corner that's helping you grow. Those are the
Yep.
people we need in our front row that are going to
Absolutely.
hold us accountable to the things that make us better. So social media might be an anchor, or maybe the bathroom mirror in your bathroom, the floor length mirror.
Right. The
Maybe,
scale.
yeah, the scale. Maybe that's something where you're like, I just need to take this thing off. I
Yep.
can be real honest here. This is funny. We're girls here. There might be some guys listening, but in our old house, we just had in our tiny little apartment, we had just the only mirror in our house was like a neck up mirror. Okay. And that was
Yep.
in our tiny little bathroom. And so I would always laugh when we would go somewhere else and I would see my full self and I'm going, oh, it's so funny. You just don't know. And some of us, guess what? We need to not stop knowing. Maybe an
Yep.
anchor in our life is I need to stop critiquing myself so
Mhm.
much in this dadgum mirror. So that's great.
Yep.
I'm going to throw one more thing in. Was that your last tip of what?
So my number one tip
Okay, go.
is kind of like around a visualization of a boiling pot. You know,
Okay.
you guys probably listening to this have health and wellness goals.
Mhm.
And you need to think of those as those times that you take this big stock pot and fill it with water, put it on your stove, and crank up the stove, waiting for that pot to boil.
Right.
And it's going to take time. That's why we have like little sayings around don't watch the pot,
A
whatever it is.
watch
Yes,
pot never boils. Yep.
yes,
That's good.
yes.
Yep.
And so you're watching this pot and you're waiting for it to boil and you get so irritated that you just turn it off.
Mhm.
Well, for you guys, that's how we treat our goals. You know, Dr. Christina Migliara says sometimes we want things so bad we strangle it. And that's how so much of us take our goals is we're strangling it. And we turn that pot off before the water boils.
Yeah.
We put in all of this hard work just to let it cool. So
Mm.
embrace the process
Yeah.
and really learn to look for those wins.
That's so, so good. I love that. I love that analogy because obviously the boiling water is what we want and what we need to accomplish whatever boiling the pasta or cooking the food or whatever. But that water has to heat up to get to that end result. And it's got to get, 100 degrees, 150 degrees. It's got to keep going and we can't get mad at it when it's just at 100 degrees. And so a lot of us, you're on your journey, and that's what the book, The Gap and the Gain, is about. Hey, you have made 10 steps. Wow, you've made 10 steps. That's amazing. Give yourself credit for that. You have
Big
made
deal.
10 steps further than you were when you started. And that is a dang big deal. And like Melinda said, that frequency bias, if you begin to focus on those things, that's what's going to start transforming your mind and helping you to see and feel like, I am winning. I'm winning. We've got to
Absolutely.
stop focusing on what's wrong and where we're not and how we suck and all of that stuff, and start focusing on where we are winning in the day to day. And one thing from The Gap and the Gain, and I'll end with this, we'll close down in just a second, but one of the things that I learned from The Gap and the Gain that I have been doing, I don't do it perfectly. I'm in the beginning of a pregnancy right now, so Lord knows I have been tired and exhausted at night, but I have a little book and I keep it by my bed, and I will sit down at night and write down, here are my 3 wins from today. And it could be, I went for a walk today. Did I do a CrossFit workout and lift the gym? No, but that's okay. I went for a walk. That's better than not walking. I went for a walk today. I was in a really happy mood when I played with my kids, and we just had a really fun time together.
Yep.
Or
Love it.
I really wanted to stop on the way home and get Dairy Queen, but I didn't. Or whatever.
That's a big one.
Like whatever. Okay, give yourself credit for that. Tap yourself on the
Absolutely.
back. And as you begin to focus on those things, I promise you, and end your day that way, it's going to set you up, and you're going to start like looking for these things. And I've even done this with one of my clients, and having her write this stuff down, and it is really completely changing her mindset. So
Yeah, and a tip for people that may not feel like they're big on journaling, the way that I actually do that with my clients is I talk to them about habit stacking. So what's something we do every single night
right.
without fail, no matter how good we're feeling or how crummy we're feeling. And for most people, it's probably brushing their teeth. So at night, while you're brushing your teeth, think of 3 things that you're grateful for, but then take it a step further to tell yourself why you're grateful for that. So that little extra piece actually cements that gratitude in your brain versus just having that surface level. I'm happy for
Mm,
rain. I'm happy for power. I'm happy for
mm,
AC, right?
mm.
Why are you happy for these things? Why are
Oh,
you grateful? And habit stack it with something. So maybe you don't want to journal, or you don't have time, or you feel it's overwhelming. Start with one thing, habit
mhm.
stack it with brushing your teeth, and enjoy the process, because you're going to have a lot of fun looking for those things to be grateful for and why they're important to you.
That's good. I know we keep saying one more thing, but I'm thinking about, like, so what if I said I didn't stop at Dairy Queen when I wanted to? Well, like, why does that even matter?
Right.
Like,
Right.
identify that,
Yep.
go a little bit deeper. So I love that. So I feel like a big kind of theme that we've hit on today is being able to know why we're feeling what we're feeling, going deeper with it, going into the deeper mindset thing of why we want what we want, why we're going after what we're going after, and really being willing to reframe what success looks like, and being able to acknowledge the wins that we're having along the way, and not just put off happiness until we lose 20 pounds of fat or whatever it is. So
Absolutely.
so thank you so, so much, Melinda, for coming on and sharing the gold that you have inside of you, what you've learned through the past 10 years of coaching women. It's been so, so valuable to us. So I'm super appreciative for your time. And I know that we've all learned new things today that we can apply. So for now, we will say goodbye, and we will see everyone next time. Thanks, y'all.